To run a marathon, a lot of things have to go your way, in training and in the race. We love it all, the process, the learning, the failures. But every step of the way, there are choices you can make that give you a better or worse chance of getting to that finish line. So we've put together what we think are the toughest kit and training choices you're going to have to make, and we'll try to give you a balanced argument and our opinions. And if you disagree or you know of a tougher choice, then you know where the comments section is. Now get subscribed please, and let's do this. Coming to the track feels like the best time to discuss one of the big heavyweight battles in this video, and that is carbon plates versus non-carbon plated trainers. Now for me, there is no doubt in my mind that carbon plated shoes, they can make you faster, and quite significantly so. I would say though that some people respond better than others, and that is probably the biggest argument against carbon plates, is that you could spend this crazy amount of money and not be any faster. But is it worth the risk? Because you can spend the amount of money that they cost and you could probably be 2 to 4% faster on the day. And if you're someone that's searching for an extra minute to take you sub 4 or sub 3 or sub 5, that could well be worth it. And there are so many brands out there now, it's almost enough to make your head spin. But here's my 2 pence on this. Yes, carbon plates can make you faster, nearly across the board if you're a good high responder, because people respond better than others. But they can also get you injured. They are aggressive. They are the type of trainer that is going to put a little bit more pressure on your calves and your Achilles. And I certainly wouldn't advocate for doing all of your runs, easy runs or anything like that in them. So if you gave me the choice and I could only pick one type of trainer, carbon plates or non-carbon plates, for all of my runs, and I'm talking easy, tempo, long run races, actually you can get some amazing shoes without carbon plates that are going to do the job. I think the key here is you've got to be comfortable. So whatever makes you comfortable, they're the shoes that you run in. So I'm at the track watching Mary run in the 361 Flame 4s, which are a really good shoe, can't knock them. But if you had to make me be even more specific, right now I'm going with the Mega Blasts, like the best all-round shoe in my opinion right now, for me anyway. You can do easy stuff, you could do track stuff. I have run a marathon in them, job done. They're the shoe for me. Okay, if you see people's running training, you'll see that they're tracking their heart rate, and it can be really useful data. And different people use different methods of tracking it. Could be this, or one of these. And I'm going to talk about my experience and which one I think is best. But I'm going to rule this one out straight away. When I say rule this out altogether, you do definitely need the watch to track and link to your heart rate monitor. But as a heart rate monitor alone, it's just not accurate enough to be effective and worthwhile. When I started running and training more seriously, I got a chest strap, a Garmin chest strap like this. And I wore this for years. The bonus is it's super accurate, so probably the most accurate, but the problem is it can be quite uncomfortable, especially for women, and for me I found it quite restrictive around my rib cage. I'm asthmatic as well, it made me feel a bit compressed, and it can cause chafing, and I know a lot of people had like a permanent chafe mark. I'd just like to add an appendix to that. This is my Garmin heart rate strap, chest strap graveyard. The problem with these, and I think they've updated them now, is that when the battery ran out, you had to, you know those little screwdrivers you get in Christmas crackers? First of all, you had to get those. Then you had to undo this, change the battery, and if you live in a humid climate like this, if even a little bit of humidity or water gets in there, game over. All 4 of these stopped working after the first battery change, and I was as careful as you could possibly be. Something had to change because these are not cheap. This is the Coros arm heart rate strap. It links to my Garmin, super easy to use. I've had it for about 2 years, and you barely feel or notice that you're wearing it, and it's almost as accurate as the chest strap. So for me, it's the best of comfort and good quality data. It's USB chargeable, so battery lasts for ages, and you can just charge it up when you need to. So Mary, what is your conclusion on heart rate monitor? It's the arm strap for me. I concur. Arm heart rate strap, cheaper, easier to use, easier to charge. Thank you and good night. You're gonna have to hear me out on this one because I know one of the options is not actually a piece of kit, but we're going treadmill versus road. But I want to start with the road because I want to knock the obvious out of the park. Clearly, there is nothing that can replace the road in terms of specificity for the majority of races unless you're running on trail. It's convenient, it's free, it's awesome. But the caveat, road isn't always available to everybody. If you've seen some of our runs here, it's pretty dangerous. It's not easy to run on. Also, it is harder on the joints than, say, off-road or treadmill. But I know and appreciate it's super convenient to the vast majority of us. But treadmill, as much as many people call it the treadmill and hate using it, for me, it's all about controlling my environment. For example, it's 11 AM. It's probably about 1,000,000 degrees Celsius outside, maybe a bit of an over-exaggeration, but you get what I'm saying. Here, air conditioning on, can put a fan on here, and I can cool myself down, which is probably closer to the temperatures that I'm gonna run in Japan, as an example. Also on here, not that I'm doing that now, I'm doing an easy run, but if I wanted to do, say, marathon-specific efforts, 3K, 4K, 5K, however long, then I can just dial that in here and I don't have to face any of the interruptions you might face out on the road, like crossing the road, people in the way. This is pretty pure in terms of just dialing into paces in training. But if we explore why it's a necessity, it could be weather. For us here, could be raining hard, too hot, the high air quality index meaning you shouldn't be outside. But actually, where I've seen the most benefit for treadmills is for people that are starting their running journey. They don't necessarily want to be out and about and seen, and this represents a safe space. Whether it's at home or in the gym, it's a slightly more controlled environment. Is it a substitute for the road? Absolutely not. Is it a complement to the road? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I've come to the kitchen to demonstrate this one because this is a clear battle between gels as your fuel source when you're running and training for marathons and running marathons, or food. And I'm actually going to rule out bananas straight away because it's not the type of energy source that we need when we're exercising. Maybe before. You see, the thing is, your body, it absorbs energy in the form of glucose and fructose, but it has a limit on how much it can absorb of one or the other. So if you're eating something that is just strictly glucose, then your body's going to be able to absorb so much. And if you're eating something that's fructose, your body's going to be able to absorb so much. If you're eating something that's both, now we're talking. So whilst we're not using a banana, I would say some really reasonable alternatives. People use dates, which are completely natural food source, jelly babies, which are sweets, and things like Cliff Blocks, which are literally sweets made to give you energy whilst you're exercising. So coming back to what we were saying just now, if you look at what Cliff Blocks are made of, and if you look at dates, then they're actually a good mix of glucose and fructose. Jelly babies, just glucose, so there's going to be a limit on how much of the jelly babies when you eat them you can absorb. And believe it or not, that's the same thing with gels, because some gels have a mixture and some don't, so you really need to be aware. And let's take these 4 gels as an example, because these are the 4 that we train with. We bought them all ourselves, but there is a distinct difference in carb amount in the gels, but also in the mix of glucose and fructose, and that's what you need to be aware of. The ideal ratio is somewhere in the 1 glucose to 0.8 fructose ratio range. But to be honest with you, I would just look to see if it has glucose and fructose. The thing that my mind keeps coming back to is that gels are literally manufactured, they are engineered to give you an energy boost quickly whilst you're exercising. That's their whole purpose. So for me, that's enough. Whereas food, as good as dates can be at doing the same things, they're not literally, someone didn't make a date so that you could take them whilst exercising. It just so happened that you can. I mean, it comes down to 2 things, doesn't it? It comes down to cost. Some of these gels are reasonable. Things like Mortonard, you're gonna have to mortgage your house to buy a box of these, but they're very effective. Whereas the Cis, maybe a quarter of the price. Maybe not as dramatic, but you get what I'm saying. Whereas jelly babies, dates, they're of course a lot cheaper. And the other thing is, some people just don't like can't get on with gels, and that's another perfectly fine reason to look at taking foods. Ultimately, we're all gonna go with personal preference, aren't we? But if you're gonna give me the choice and I'm gonna make a decision here, because it's my video, I'm going gels all day long. But the right gels, because these are controllable. Whereas things like dates, probably quite messy, jelly babies, faffy, and I don't want that like powder over my hands. Even Cliff Blocks, I'm not keen on eating whilst I'm running. This is more liquidy. Gels are what's gonna do the trick for me, but each to their own. What about this age-old battle? And this is more of a personal preference one, but it can have repercussions. It's loose-fitting clothes against more tight-fitting clothes. Man, it feels like I'm wearing nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Let's start with tight clothes, shall we? That's my choice of attire, certainly when it comes to shorts. Difficult to really know why, but if I can give you a sense of what the right fitting tight clothes do, is very much for me in this country about avoiding chafing. So what I was finding whenever I wore loose-fitting clothes, two things really. One, I was chafing and the clothes were getting really, really wet. And this is gonna sound stupid, but the slapping noise on my skin was really annoying me. And that's what happens when I'm wearing like loose shorts, for example. Loose tops, very much about nipple chafage in this country.
And to a certain extent, I just like the way my little chicken legs look in tighter shorts than loose. They look like loose strands of string dangling down on loose fit clothing. You gotta feel good in what you're wearing.
And in contrast to Ben, I love loose fitting, especially shorts. I always have, I just feel more comfortable in them, but especially in Thailand and in the heat. Like they have an inner lining, but then having that loose material means you get the air and the breeze all over your legs, all the way up to the top, which feels good to me. But I do feel with tight shorts that I'd be pulling them down or up, and all that enclosure on my skin, I don't think I would feel as free and comfortable and loose running. I feel a bit self-conscious as well in like super tight clothes, so my personal preference is the loose shorts.
It shouldn't surprise you then to know that our outcome on this one is it's a draw.
We've concluded.
We've concluded. I think it is more to do about what makes you feel good in your body, in your clothes while you're out running, and that's good enough.
Yeah, there's no rule. Nobody should tell you what to wear. Wear what you feel good in and enjoy the run.
Okay, how about recovery tools after a workout? Because you've probably seen a ton of options out there and you don't know if any are good. Do any move the needle? Well, let's compare two of the classics. Massage gun, foam roller. Now, both of these pieces of equipment, what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to reduce muscle stiffness, decrease soreness or DOMS. They're supposed to improve blood flow to the area, which obviously aids with recovery. Ooh. And you can pick up one of these for pretty cheap nowadays, and although this foam roller is on the more expensive end of the spectrum, we got it over 10 years ago and it's done us solid for a long, long time. The thing is, the latest studies coming out about these are saying they don't necessarily do what we thought, like ease out knots and make the fascia move better. What they actually do is help increase our pain tolerance psychologically, which you would understand when you do this, but also they do improve the range of motion. So there are benefits there. It's not like these are a negative or a zero impact. And similarly, these massage guns, they've been proven to have some positive effects, but just maybe not as many as we would like. But the key here is there's no negative side effects, and they can be pretty affordable. They can also be quite expensive. It's actually the same as stretching as a recovery tool. I mean, this is free, but again, the evidence is not overwhelming that there's huge positive impact. There's just definitely no negative impact, and maybe that's enough. Ultimately, this is how I'm looking at all of these things. If you've got the money and you want to see if there is benefit to you, then I would just go for it. Because ultimately, although the evidence, it's not overwhelming in terms of these definitely work and these definitely work. I tell you what is documented as working pretty well is the placebo effect. As in, if you feel like something, if you believe like something is working, it's probably working. And if you believe that it isn't, it probably won't. And that's the way that we deal with most of the things in the running world, is that if we attach ourselves to the process of being a runner, we foam roll, we massage gun, we stretch, we do all of those things, and there's no negative impact, then surely overall that's a positive impact. But if I had to, if you put a gun to my head and made me choose across all of the board other than stretching, I'm going foam roller. This bad boy's been with me since the start. I love it, and I'm going to continue using it forever.
Okay, let's talk storage solutions on the run or in your race. And today I'm wearing the flip belt. I've worn the flip belt for years, right since my first marathon, and I'll be wearing it for Tokyo in a couple of weeks. There are loads of other options. Other people wear different storage belts or shorts with lots of storage in, but essentially we're talking about the waist carriage. Is that a word? It's always quite surprising how much you can fit in a flip belt. So in a marathon I'll have my phone, a GoPro, all my gels, about 8 or 9 gels, usually my sunglasses, packet of tissues always, so you can fit a lot in, and it sits pretty well around your waist. Like, it does move a little bit, especially if there's a lot in it, but it's never slowed me down or annoyed me. I find it pretty comfortable and easy to run with. I also really like having my shoulders and upper body free. I don't want anything making me too hot or restricting me. I like to feel quite free, so I think the waist belt is a good solution to that, to have good storage but to not feel like you're carrying a lot at the same time.
Now flip that around, if you'll pardon the pun, and look at hydration vests as a storage solution. The benefits of these is the storage capacity is obviously next level to the flip belt. You can get so much in there, plus you can easily carry over a litre of fluid, and that's perfect for training runs where maybe you don't have easy access to getting more drink, or trail races that take a long time as well. Lots of people like to also wear these in longer road races, and I get it, but pound for pound, when you want to feel less restricted and possibly need to keep cool as well, the flip belt or similar is definitely the better option for us at most distances. It can carry everything you need, and often you don't even notice you're wearing it.
Now, this is not a kit-based conundrum, but it is definitely one of the most important marathon conundrums and considerations, and that's the difference between training to pace and training to heart rate. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that when they marathon train, they train to a particular pace because that's their outcome. I'm going to argue the case. I'm not even going to pretend that it's a balanced argument. In my mind and from my previous experience of a lot of years coaching, heart rate based is process based. It's where you're at right now, and I'm going to tell you why pace based training is not good for you for marathon training. Look at it like this. You want to run, let's for argument's sake, a sub 3:30 marathon. That is 5 minutes per kilometer. At the start of your training plan of 18 weeks, if you try to dial into that pace, it shouldn't be possible. It certainly shouldn't be possible if it's a stretch goal. And that leads to a lot of sessions becoming demotivational because you're not hitting the paces, or you are hitting the paces, but your heart rate is way too high and it feels disgusting. And if you don't necessarily know the pace that you want to end up running and you're trying to train to pace, there's a lot of throwing darts at the dartboard blindfolded. It's very much trial and error. You could either not be pushing yourself enough, or you could be pushing yourself too hard. Either way, pretty demotivational. Then let's go heart rate. The heart rate is pure, it's effort based, and it's the right now based. So if you know your heart rate zones, we know that when you go out for an easy run, you stay here. We know that when you go for a lactate threshold run, you stay here. Does the pace matter? No, because that's going to change over the training block. What matters is that you're pushing the threshold. What matters is you're staying in your easy base zones. And over time, your pace is going to get quicker without you even considering it, really, and therefore it's motivational, not demotivational. There are moments, there are times in your marathon training, of course, where you can train to pace. We do marathon paced efforts on a Thursday every week where we try to dial into the pace where you want to run the marathon. But even then, at the end of the session, we're looking like what is the heart rate doing here? Like, is it in the right place at this time, do we think? Is it gonna come down? So it's still technically heart rate based training as well. And it's what the pros do. They probably 80% of their training at heart rate or feel, 20% at pace. So if you're ever confused in marathon training or half marathon training, whether you train to heart rate or whether you train to pace, it's a no-brainer, I'm telling you that much. And if you need a little more help, we have a thriving community of over 150 people. We have plans for every distance and every ability. So if you want the extra bit of help, we got you. Right now, all you have to do is two simple things. And the first one is subscribe to the channel because it helps us tremendously. It's not a lot of effort. And the next one is watch one of these two videos that we've hand selected for you. And the first one is how we took Mary from a 3:51 marathon to a 3:04, all the tips and tricks. And the second video is when I executed my best perfect race in Chicago and ran a 2:44. Lots of tips in there as well. Thanks for watching. See you Wednesday.